If you've downloaded the Zoom software, you'll see the Zoom application icon on your desktop or launch bar. You can see mine is there. If you click on this, it will normally look like this and ask you to sign in. So you can sign in with your email address and password that's been provided there, or through your own account if you've set that up. So let me just sign in. So once you've signed in, your application of Zoom will look like this. Obviously, you can see you've got the 4 icons on the side of a new meeting, to join, your schedule, and to share screen. And then you've got your calendar here that will have all those scheduled meetings for that account. You can then scroll through there to find the meeting that you'll be training, and you can just click start here, as you can see. You can also see any meetings up through this way. So you can see I've got a few there, and you can also again start meetings from this as well. There are a few features that you would be able to set up the meeting room before any of the delegates arrive for the session. So it's always quite handy to log on early. You can start setting these up, make sure that everything is working, etc. Firstly, just to go through some settings, you can access your settings here through that little tool there. If you click on that, it will come up with a settings list here, and there's some things that you can click on and adjust so that everything is working fine before any training is going through. So under general, the main ones that we would like to click up is obviously to minimize notifications so that you don't get those coming up onto your screen. To ask when you confirm leaving a meeting, that red button can be quite deceiving, especially when in breakout rooms, and give you the option to leave the breakout room or to in the meeting. And so just to have that extra confirmation so we don't end meetings by mistake and kick everyone out. And then you can see there's some there that as well, so you can have notifications for reminders, etc., and do skin tones for your thumbs up settings. You'll see here that you'll be able to test your video, and you can see that you can do a drop down. So if you're using an internal camera or an external camera, you can click here and be able to choose that preferred webcam for you. You can obviously do widescreen or an original ratio, enable HD. These again are personal preferences, but these ones down here on the meetings, you want always display the participants' names on the video. Obviously, then that makes it a lot easier to have that personal aspect, that interaction, to actually be able to ask participants by name. Always show video preview when joining the meeting. So again, it just show you that extra update that is definitely working, that it's all okay, and you'll be able to see in that preview. If not, so you can go back into your settings and adjust anything. And then the others are again down to personal preference. With audio, you can see again that you can test these as well. So you can choose what you are using. So you can use that drop down. You can say, I want to use the speakers or internal systems, etc. You can test the speakers by clicking this, it will play a noise. And then you can adjust the volume through this. And then from the microphone, if you click that, you can just do a testing, do your voice, it will play your voice back again so you can hear how clear your speakers are. And again, you can adjust the volume there as well. Automatically join the audio by computer when joining the meeting so that you don't have to worry about changing it from the preferred device that you're using. And then we have some short keys, so you can press and hold space to temporarily unmute yourself. And also if you're using a headset, to sync the button. So if you've got a headset that has got like pause, it will mute, etc., and things like that. For share screen, do full screen when a participant shares a screen, scale to fit, so all the Zoom windows will fit in with each other. And then also eye I disable side-by-side mode, and I'll show you why once we're in a meeting, but it makes it just that easier to be able to see everybody, and you can move all their webcams around on your screen, so you can, again, still have that really good interaction. And silence system notifications when sharing a desktop. So if you especially have a Windows, and you'll notice that sometimes you can get that notification you've got an email or any notifications from other applications that you have. If they silence it, at least then it won't make a sound, etc. We have a chat function within Zoom. So again, you can go through this and you can see what is enabled for you. But you can, again, some of these are personal preferences, but you can ensure that push notifications are on for all messages, and you can set notification to go off once per message or continually until you answer it. Again, that bit is down to personal preference of whether that continuous notification, it bounces and makes it flash orange on the toolbar. If that's going to be too much of a distraction and you just want it once, and then you can clock that there are messages there that you'll be able to answer once you have a free moment. You can choose if you want the sidebar theme, again, dark and light. And again, you can see here that you can, like, say, keep all unread messages at the top, show the unread messages badge. You can move messages with replies to the bottom of the chat, so you can focus on those that haven't been replied to. And again, the same thing, you can start the first unread or start at the latest, so you can either work through them in order or as they've come in. And again, you can see there about those push notifications. You can do a virtual background, but this is dependent on your system, how good your webcam is, and also if you're using a Mac, they don't seem to work very well. For a prime example, there's a lovely background there. If I show myself, you can't really see it. It turns my hair into a green screen, which is quite funny, and my eyes. That's slightly terrifying. But it just all depends on your systems to see if you've got the right software for that. But you can do a preferred background, virtual background, if you want to, and you can also add an image. So if you have logos, etc., you can add that image so it's within your background as well. So again, that customization. So you can see down here on keyboard shortcuts, there are some shortcuts that you can enable rather than having to go through the toolbar and trying to find those settings. So you can see here that they're all down here again, very much with you can temporarily unmute yourself by holding the space bar. There's all different ones that you can see down here. So it's just up to you. If you are wanting to use that, you can obviously look through and then enable those shortcuts for you. So you can see there's a quick one for screen sharing and to stop screen sharing, etc. And to switch your cameras, all that kind of things as well. So you can do that if you want to. Again, that is personal preference. If you click down here onto more settings, it will open up the Zoom web browser page, because there are just some advanced settings. Now, if you are using the Tay account through the logins that you're given, then these settings will already been set up. However, if you're using your own account, it's always handy just to know, just in case, etc., and obviously for your own use as well. So let me just. So I've logged on here through the web browser, and as you can see, I'm on settings here under the profile aspects there and within meetings. And so a lot of these would have come up within that general section on the desktop application. As you can see around starting your video, with starting meetings with your videos on, you can make sure that participants have that as well. But if we just go through, there are some aspects that you want to make sure that people can't join before host. Zoom have updated a lot of their security features, so you'll see that some of these are automatically, if you are setting up a new account, automatically disabled, just to add with that extra security, and joining before host is one of these, so it's automatically switched off. so that we can go in, set up that room, and then obviously can admit people one by one and make sure those that are attending should be attending. There are no other people in that meeting. You can go through requiring a password as well. A lot of Zoom meetings now do require a password, even if you're set up on your own account, etc. You can see here again requiring passwords for scheduled meetings and for instant meetings. You can enable that password into that link so it's easier for your delegates and participants to join. Mute participants upon entry is really good, just so you can stop all that feedback as participants are joining. It also works for when they're coming back from breakout rooms. Obviously, they would have unmuted their mics to have those group discussions and probably haven't been able to mute them in time to come back into the main room. So it does automatically mute their mics as they come into those come back from those breakout rooms as well. So again, to stop any kind of noise interference, loud noises, and if people are on headphones, that can be quite loud and shocking for them as well. So that is always a really good one to have enabled. And then just as we scroll down, you've got the chat there to allow that chat and private chat, so participants can send us private messages if anything is happening, if they need any questions or if they've got emergencies that they need to deal with. You can have a notification when someone joins or leaves, and you can click that for host and co-host only, so that you can hear when someone is joining the room, it sounds like a doorbell. And then when someone leaves the room, that makes a little sound. So that's always quite handy that you can notice when someone's leaving, you can hear that sound, and you can just then be aware that they may be rejoining due to connection issues, and keep an eye out for them on the participants menu to admit them back into the room quite quickly. You can do file transfers within the chat, which then is quite handy for in case participants can't download the things from their emails or they haven't been able to print them off and need very quick, easy access to them. We can then just share that file through into the chat room. They click a link and can quickly get access to there. To allow for co-hosts. So if we are doing co-facilitation, or if you have anyone in the room to help you with any technical issues, some organisations will want you to have a co-host for the first 10-15 minutes while they're admitting people in. Just depends on how their organisation works. So having a co-host is really handy. And then polling is a new feature as well, so that we can add polls, interactive polls within our sessions. So enable that as well. This will only show up within your meetings on your toolbar on pre-scheduled meetings. So if you start a meeting from scratch, as in, you haven't preloaded it, it's not showing up on your menu bar, you just start a meeting there, and then polling doesn't show up. So if you do need it, obviously for TAFE facilitators, it's not an issue. They have all been set up by the lovely Holly for us. But if you are setting up your own meetings, then you do need to schedule them in advance just to have that polling option there on your toolbar. You can then have control of your toolbar, so you can see it all the time. Obviously, you want screen sharing. You can do host only or all participants. And annotations is also really good around screen sharing, so that the names will come up for when we're showing whiteboards, and obviously participants can write on the whiteboard as well, and it will come up with their name next to what they have written. You can see then, obviously, next one down is whiteboard to enable that, and that is a tool that we can share and use just like flip chart paper. And then the other main ones are obviously you can allow participants to rename themselves, especially sometimes they might be joining in devices through their phones or through work computers or a work email. So sometimes we've had people join and their name on their screen is like a Galaxy S9 or iPhone and iPad. So again, we can rename them to help with that personalization. And to that interaction, so we can see everyone's name and actually be able to ask them questions by name, etc. Then we want down here, and you see in meeting in advance is breakout rooms. So just to make sure that that is enabled, you may need to, if it's disabled, to enable it. and then log in and log back in, log out, sorry, and log back in to make sure it's all set up. But if this isn't enabled, you won't be able to do that group work activity. And it'll be really easy to see if it is enabled when you first sign into a meeting, because it will show on your breakout in your toolbar, which I'll show when we start a meeting shortly. And then that is pretty much it. Obviously, you can see you can do virtual background, like I said, but that is down to your system. But you can also allow videos for virtual background as well, but that can be very distracting. And then a lot of these are just automatically disabled as well, and also a waiting room. So again, this is now always enabled, again, for that security feature, so we can see people who's in the waiting room and admit them before they just join the meeting, and again, to add, so we can make sure that we do have participants that are meant to be there and no one else has managed to access the login details, etc. Oh, excuse me. You can choose which participants put in the waiting room, just make sure it's everyone. This will all be for facilitators again set up, but for those using their own accounts, etc., you can then also customize your waiting room, so you can add your logo, you can put a description, and you can put a welcome sign there as well. And that, I think, is the main ones. Everything else is pretty much enabled just as security features. Right. There we go. So you have noticed when we're going through some of those settings that you've seen or heard me say co-host. There are some multiple roles available for meetings. Obviously, we have the host, co-host, there is an alternative host, and then also, obviously, our participants. The roles that are designated are normally designated by the host or the person scheduling the meeting. The host is you as the main facilitator, the person that clicks start when we come up for those meetings. You are the main host. You'll have full permissions to manage the meeting, and there can only be one host of a meeting. However, if you do need someone there to help with most of the controls, to help manage kind of breakout rooms or the chat, you can have a co-host. They'll also then be able to share their screen, etc. But however, co-hosts cannot start a meeting, and when it comes to polls, etc., they will only be able to start polls that have already been saved. And then there is alternative hosts who share the same controls as co-hosts, but they can also start the meeting. They are to be assigned when meetings are being scheduled. So if you are scheduling meetings through the web browser, etc., you can, obviously if I start a new meeting there, it's going to come up. Oh, left my virtual background on. So you can, through scheduling, you can add in alternative hosts, but you need their login details as well, so that Zoom will accept them to log in and start that meeting for you. So when you launch a meeting, it will look like this. I've switched my video off just so that there's no interference and doesn't hide any of the aspects that I want to show you. But it will look like this, and your video will be in that main screen where the logo is at the moment. So you'll see here then that we can do a lot of preparation. You can see here that we've got our menu bar down here. We can have control of our microphone and our video. We have that extra security, so once everyone's in, we can lock that meeting. You'll see it says 5 participants, but no one is showing up at the moment. That is because they are all in the waiting room. So that feature does work straight away, and they are all there, and you can see they're all me. So there's 5 of me at the moment, which is probably scary to some people. But they are there, and they'll wait there until we all admit them in. That's fine. So again, you can see that we have that polls there, so we can have that feature. Again, like I said, this will only show up for pre-scheduled meetings. have that chat function, share screen, we can record our meetings, close captions, but that is down to if we designate someone to type as we are talking, or if we're using a third party program to do those closed captionings. Then obviously, again, very important to make sure that this is on your menu as well as breakout rooms. And then obviously you've got reactions there as well, which are the emojis that we can see there. If these don't put, I've got it on full screen, sometimes it comes up on minimum and you don't always see, that's not going to make me a smaller screen now. So you don't always see everything straight away. Obviously just click more and make sure that you have that the polls and the breakout rooms there. So as you can see here, we can click on participants. This will allow us to manage participants. We'll see people that are in the waiting room as they join. Great feature is then obviously to have your attendance sheet printed off or on the background of your computer. You can then tick off who is joined so you can make sure that they are in the right meeting, etc. And also then it's always handy to have that printed off with their name so we can make notes through introductions to make just the training a bit easier for us and for them. We can split people up if they work in the same teams, etc. But you can see when they are here, we can message. So we can message people that are all in the waiting room. So you'll see here that it says everyone in the waiting room. If that feature isn't there, you can just use that drop down and make sure you choose in waiting room. Oh, excuse me. And then you can send a message just saying like, welcome, we'll start in 5 minutes, etc. Just to let people join in. If there are any problems, you can contact me, etc. on email, and you can put your email address on there as well. And then also you can see there is a admit all feature, so you can admit everyone at the same time, or you can go through and admit people one by one, have that chat, make sure that they're a bit Zoom savvy, they've got all the information that they needed, and then you can put them in a breakout room and work through participants that way, and then they can network and chat in that breakout room if they want to. So like I said, there's a lot of features that we can set up to make sure that our sessions run as smoothly as possible, and we can get a lot of those features set up for later on activities, etc. So the main functions to do this would be to share screen. So sharing screen will allow us to share our PowerPoint, it can allow us to share our desktop, we can share files, and also we would be able to share the function of the whiteboard that they've enabled as well. So when we click on share screen here, you can see all the windows that I've got open up, etc. But you will be able to see that I have that PowerPoint there, and it will just open as that PowerPoint presentation. It's always good to have that PowerPoint presentation that we're using for the training preloaded in the background for Zoom, so it's ready there to share straight away. And then obviously you can see the main one here is also our whiteboard. So if I show you how we can set up whiteboard, you'll just click whiteboard there and then click share. And then as you can see, it's changed our screen here, and we can make that full screen if we want to. And basically what this is an interactive flip chart paper. You can see it comes up with its own menu bar here, and we can put text. So we can decide where we want that text. We can put type on it, and then we can select after we finish typing and move that around wherever we need it to be. So if we want to move it to the middle and have that as a heading, etc., we can do. We can also draw, so we can draw lines through that art feature, but we can draw shapes, etc. So if we want to draw columns or even circles, so if we want to have that discussion of everything inside the circle is a barrier, everything outside the circle is things that help us with that activity, we can do that to make that feature as well. There are stamps, so as you can see, there's all these different options. So we could just click and go if people are putting things on. You can say that's great, or you can say this aspect here is really important and highlight that. Again, you can highlight things as well through a spotlight, which is a little laser here. You can erase things very quickly, and if you click on format, you can change the color before you oh, excuse me. You can change the color of the text, and also the font there. You can make it bold and the size of that text as well. There is an undo button if you delete anything by mistake. That redo button, you can clear all the drawings and all of the aspects, and also then you can save that whiteboard. When you click save, it will save in the background onto your desktop, onto your computer. But again, then you can go through that share screen and you can share this with participants as a file. So we know when some participants like to take screenshots on their phones in face-to-face training of the flip chart papers from their group work, then we can still share that way as well, which is really good. When we share whiteboard with the participants, they will also be able to write on the whiteboard, which is why we say annotations are also really good, because then we can see who's written, and we can then, like, again, through that interaction, we can say, oh, Jane, what I've seen you've written there is a really good point. Could you expand on that, etc. You can see down here there's a little plus sign feature. If you click on that, it creates a new whiteboard. So I could then click on this and put neglect. And again, I can click on another one. So if we need several whiteboards throughout the whole presentation, or a couple of different bits of flip chart paper or whiteboards as they are, for a certain activity, we can again set that up, and you can have quite a few. You can just click add as many times. So at the moment you see the number 4 very faintly there, and then there will be arrows either side to click back and forth. The brilliant thing with whiteboard, which is why I say you can set it up before you start your activities, if you know that you need flip chart paper for one for blocks, one for barriers, one for all the different kinds of categories of abuse, anything like that, you can set them up. You can put your headings there as we would on face-to-face training when we set up the flip chart papers and getting them ready for those activities. And then if you stop share and you leave, and then you're going through your presentation, etc., you're going through your PowerPoint, you get to that activity when you need that whiteboard activity and that feature, again, you just click on whiteboard, you just share that, and as you can see, it's uploaded with everything that was on there previously. So it's that great aspect to help things move smoothly and quicker. But also, if people are having those discussions and you want to go back to that whiteboard to raise a point or say, well, this very much links in with that, it's there. So you don't have to delete it. You don't have to spend up time setting up. You can do this all before you let participants in, and it will save it for you as well. So it will make it a really easy feature to use. And then when you want to stop sharing, obviously you just click that red button there of stop sharing. Another feature to set it up prior to the meetings is polls. So if you click on this, you can see it will come up with this screen, this window here, and you can add a question. So again, this is only the original host will be able to edit or add polls, and it will only appear on this menu in a pre-scheduled meeting. However, you can click that add question. It will take you to the web browser page. So you can see now I'm in that meeting room there, and then you can click, so you can add a title for that poll. So if it's for a certain activity, a certain training feature, you can add that title there. You can click anonymous, you can type in your question there. So just for, you can say what use, and then you can have that single choice or multiple choice, which is why I put that question there, because then we could put all of those. So we could put then Facebook, we could put Snapchat, etc. Lots of those different options. They can then click as many as they want. Or if you just want to do a question of like an agree, disagree, you can put that statement there and that single choice, and then just click agree, disagree. None of these others will appear. If you want to do a seeing polls at the exact same time, just click another question there. So we can create those quizzes through just one poll option here. So again, you can add a question. You can see then it will be question 1 there, question 2. So you can say, obviously linking it in. Through that way, and again you can do a single choice of yes and no. And then again, obviously you can, if you want another question within that poll, you can just click add question, or if you just want to, you save it. And then on the web browser, you can see here that then you've got poll 1, but you can change that for activity 1, activity 2. You can see that there's 2 questions in it, and you can edit it if you want to. If you then want to use a poll later on for another activity, just click add. So then again, you could name this activity 2, put in your questions very similar. So again, you can have just that one question with that single choice or multiple choice, or you can make it into a quiz as well. So I'm just going to type in things like that so you can see how these show up separately. So then if I save that there, so as you can see, you've got poll 1 and then you've got poll 2, activity 2. Then when you go back to Zoom, it will show you then obviously there. So when you click on polls, oh, it's logged me from, hang on. Right, so then when you click on polls there, let me just get rid of that. You can see then that that poll has come up. So then obviously this is that poll 1, or we can go, no, actually we want to do poll 2. So we'll be able to see that first. We can choose which poll it is that we want to use in that part of the activity or part of the training. And then we just click launch poll, and then participants will see a screen, they'll be able to answer it, and we'll be able to see those answers. So what I will do now, because these are the main features of to set up before a training. So what I shall do is if I then, so we will share the PowerPoint. You can see here then, again, it's very much through that sharing option. We'll go through that slideshow. We click from beginning so it's there. You can hear that the music is embedded if you've already have that option within your PowerPoint there. And then obviously we just go through as we would normally. So we'd have that there ready and waiting. Oh, my mouse is very sensitive there. So we'd have that there ready and waiting. We're all set up. We've set up our whiteboards, etc. So we want to just make sure that that's off. So then again, we click on here to participants. It will come up with a screen like this. And then obviously we're all ready and we can then admit them all. So you would have heard all those noises. That's their welcome noises that only us as the host can hear. So as you can see there, because I've come in through the same account on some of these, that they've automatically made me a co-host, but this is how we can manage participants here. So we can click this menu at any point there and that will disappear and also reappear. And then obviously you can see if you click here, we've got more. We can send them a message, ask them to start video if they're having any issues, they're not sure where their webcam is, how to start that, etc. You can also make them a host. You can see some of them are co-hosts, so that will also say make co-host, but I can withdraw that permission as well. And then also we can rename them there, so we can assign them, we can put them back into a waiting room if there are any issues, we can remove them and also report them again if there are any issues. But also, like I said, we can rename them, so I am just going to rename them so it's easier for breakout rooms to show you in a moment. So you can see I've renamed them all there. We also do have access to we can ask them to unmute and also for their video there as well. So when it comes to seeing those participants, what we need to do is they will need to have their videos on, so you're going to see a lot of different aspects of me in a minute now. So let me just, if I just start one up. There we go. So this is why I say to have that side-by-side view off with those view options, because if you, for some people, it will then make that screen small here. I'll just get rid of that. It will make that PowerPoint presentation quite small. It will then also mean that the webcams for our participants will just be there and they'll be quite static. And sometimes then we can only see the top 4 or 5 people. So if it appears like that and you can't see everybody, there will be an option up here that will say view options. Click down there, unclick side by side view, and then the cameras will be able to pop out like this. As you can see, I've got 4 of them there, and there's another one there as well. However, if there's more than 4 or 5, there'll be another screen with lots of little squares here, which then gives you the access to make this bigger, and then you will be able to, like you see, move this all around the screen, so that you will then be able to see everybody, and you can make this window bigger so you'll be able to see all of those webcams. So when people are putting their hands up or wanting to talk, etc. Again, also you can see when people are muted or unmuted. You can see that they're not sharing their video. And again, you can click on there so you have access then to mute people or unmute people by clicking that button. I won't do it now because they're all rounded and we'll get a lot of feedback. And also you have that option there as well, so you can ask them to start their video, to rename them, etc. So we do have all those control functions as well. So if we go back to polls quickly, so we're going for our presentation, we've got to an activity where we want to use our first poll. Obviously we click this. Right, so if we go on to polls, you'll see then that we've got that first poll that we've created, and then that second poll as well. We can choose which one it is that we want to use. So now we've got to that activity for poll 1. We can see those questions there, and then we just click launch poll. That will come up with an extra window for our participants, and we can see it's in progress, how long it's taken. It's also told us how many participants are there and how many have voted. So I'll just do very quickly. You can see there that we've said that 1 has voted there, and it will then continue for everyone that has voted. Once you can see that everyone has voted, you can end poll. It will show those results for us. And then it doesn't automatically show for our participants. So then, if we want to kind of keep that as a bit of a, do you think this happened? Do you think that didn't happen? Then have those discussions. And then you can go, okay, well, actually, this is how you all thought, etc. So you can then share those results. And then this will come up on the screen very similar to for the participants, so they can see then those results there. And then you just click stop share results. That polling option will go from the participant screen. You can carry on then working through your presentation, and then obviously if you get to that next activity, you can click on that one and again launch that poll. They'll see it and they'll be able to view it. If you want to relaunch it, you can. And if you relaunch it, then obviously it will clear all those existing polls, all those existing results, sorry. So if we do have recurring meetings, we can save that poll. It will say save within that meeting, and then you will be able to use that again. So again, you can do that. It relaunches straight back onto their screen. For polls, it will only be created for that meeting. So again, they will only exist there and stay there if it is a reoccurring meeting, which for a lot of the TAE training, it isn't. So you will need to go in and create those polls each time prior to that meeting to set up. Obviously, then another big option that we use is breakout rooms for break times, for group activities, for pair work, etc. So to set these up, you will need to stop sharing the screen, because if I show you now, if I do this with PowerPoint, you can see me as one of the participants. But if I click breakout rooms, it then comes up with this, as you can see there, but then you can't see the whole full menu for later on. If you just stop sharing, you can see obviously it's telling me I've got 4 participants at the moment, and then I can choose how many rooms. So if I just want them to do group work, there will be 2 participants in 2 rooms. Obviously, if we got more participants, then we'll be able to do that way. You can then either choose automatically, where Zoom will then automatically assign people to that room, or you can choose manually. So I will show you manually, because then it will just create those rooms. You can rename them. So if you want breakout room is going to be group 1, 2 is also going to be group 2. But you can rename them. So if you're saying that obviously we want group 1 to talk about domestic abuse, we can rename that domestic abuse. Great. Room 2 is going to talk about neglect, etc. Then obviously you can see here that we've got a sign. If you click that, it will come up with those participants. So obviously they're all called Becky because of me being able to just show you. You'll be able to see those names, which one I said is great for making notes around the attendance sheet. We can then make notes on just that service user they work with, or the service that they're in. So if it's substance misuse, is it family support? Do they work with young people? Do they work with elderly? Do they work with mental health? We can then assign people so that there is that mixture. And also, if we have a few participants that work all within the same team, we could split them up. So again, that they can share stories and have that mixture and stay on track with the activity, because they can sometimes in breakout rooms just have a chat. So you can assign people there. So you can then obviously we'll put Becky 1 and 2 in breakout room 1, and then 3 and 4 in breakout room 2. You can create options so that they will move into breakout rooms automatically. It's preferred to not have this. They'll get a notification on their screen, and then they'll just click that invite and they'll go into that breakout room. They can allow them to return to the main session at any time. So if they've got any issues, any questions, etc., they can do that. However, once they're in the breakout room, there is also an option that they will be able to click to ask for help. You can put the breakout rooms close automatically and set that time. So if you are putting them in there for lunch times, etc., you can set what that time is. Obviously, give it a minute or two, maybe over that lunchtime, to allow people to finish off what they're doing, etc. But then you can set that timer limit there as well. Notify you when the time is up. And then when you close the breakout rooms, it will send a countdown to the participants so they know. And again, you can set up. You've got minimums 10 seconds and 2 minutes there. So there's those options. And then if you want that, actually, I want to add an extra room, I didn't put enough there, you just click add room and that will show up there. Or if you feel like, you've got too many rooms, you can then just delete a room. When you click all rooms, you can see then that they have been invited. And then if I just show you, you should then see that some of them, there you go, are starting to disappear from the screen as they join. But you can see also from our list here that you can see, someone has joined, they haven't joined. So then you can say, are you having issues? I can move you into a different room, etc. We do have that option. And then when we go, you can see then also for our participants, not for us as facilitators, there is that option to join. So we can click join room, and then we can go in that room. You can see our screen changes. And then we are in that room for that participant. So we will then be able to join with them. We can have that chat. They have This is then their features within their room, so they can share that screen. If they've got files, case studies, they will then be able to share that within their screen. They can chat with each other that way, but also obviously they can all just unmute their mics and start their cameras, etc., and have that group work discussion. But we can then join and make sure that they're on track. We can make sure that everything's okay. And when they're in here, they will have a button here that will say ask for help, and that will have a notification on our screens for us to go in and join them. This is why it's always good confirmation, like I said at the beginning, for leaving the rooms or leaving a meeting, because you can see leave, and you can see then it's got leave breakout room, leave meeting, or end meeting for all as the same button. So you just want to leave the breakout room, and then you return to the main session. And so then you can see here, if I show just very quickly, there you go. So if a participant does ask for help, it will come up on your screen there that tells you which participant in which breakout room has asked for help, and you can join that breakout room there and then go in that way. So then obviously that's really good that we can go in. So a bit like if we're doing that face-to-face learning, that then when we hover over the tables and just pop our head around to make sure that they're on track and ask if they've got any questions. You can send a message to breakout room, so you can say, I'll just give you a couple more minutes to finish up, and then we'll come back to the main meeting, etc. And you can broadcast that, and it will go to all the participants. And then when you're ready, just close rooms, and then you can see that countdown there, and they will have that notification as well to either wait for that countdown, or there'll be a button to return to that main screen. So you can see that all, there we go, that one of them has come back, and the other one will be through that countdown. There we go. So if you are using breakout rooms through for a couple of activities, obviously when you finish this, you'll close that, go back to sharing your PowerPoint, and then later on, if you need another breakout room, you can click here. It does have that there, so you can click recreate, and it will replace those rooms. So again, you can say, okay, I want 4 participants in 2 rooms, and I'll do that manually or automatically, and then they will recreate rooms, as in they'll replace the old rooms. However, if you want them to be in their groups again, like you can see there, if we open breakout rooms again, like I did, it keeps those open. So you can say, okay, we're going to put you back in your groups that you were earlier. And then again, you can just then go through those open all rooms. So you can see you've got that chat feature there as well. So you will be able to send messages to everybody that will appear on their screen within their chat feature, their chat box, or you can send messages privately there as well. And also you can send files. If you click on files, you can see you can use Dropbox, OneDrive, Googlebox, not Gogglebox, or your computer. So a top tip is always to have those documents, handouts, workbooks that is dedicated to this training session in a file saved in your computer that you can access really quickly, because then obviously you can click on this, it's there, and you can then share that obviously individually or to everybody within that room. So again, they can very quickly access that rather than having to go through their emails, etc. You have that record option there. A lot of the TAE ones are set to record automatically, but you do have the option to pause and stop it for breaks, or if you feel there are some very sensitive or personal stories being spoken, you think they shouldn't be on the camera, etc. And that security feature there is, again, make sure you can enable your waiting room. You can allow participants to do these things. So you can tick if you want them to share their screen, chat, rename themselves, unmute themselves. You've got that remove and report function very quickly. And then you can lock that meeting. So you've locked it and no one else can join. But obviously, if there are connection issues for some of our delegates, then that is where that issue comes in. with that one, which is why that waiting room is to have that enabled throughout the session. So then again, we can just make sure that if people have been kicked out through connection issues, that we are inviting the right people back in again. And that is the main options. There is a feature within PowerPoint when we save this. So let me, oh, lost my zoom button there. There we go. So let me just minimize. So again, that chat function we can have pop out or close. And again, when we are sharing our PowerPoint, like this. Yeah, there we go. That chat function is just, oh, sorry, will come out as an extra window. But there is an option when we looked at closed captioning, there is an option within PowerPoint down here. So you can see that you can use these as your functions to go back and forth towards your slides. There is that laser option, but that one is really tricky to use within PowerPoint. However, you can click this one and it will provide subtitles for you. So as you can see, as I'm talking, it is providing those subtitles there at the bottom. So just to help for any delegates, you know, they may have some connection issues with their microphones, or obviously if they are hard of hearing or anything like that. The only issue is that you need to make sure you really pronounce your words, because there can be some, I don't think it's done it at the moment. There we go. You can see I don't think he's done it at the moment. So it can be that it doesn't pick up the words correctly and will put in other words that they think you're saying. But that is an option there that we can use it just to make, obviously, our training more accessible, which is great. We have that reaction button there, which you can see is the thumbs up or the clap, and also the participants will have that as well. So you can see that they may be able to put that thumbs up button to show that they would like, you know, to ask a question or answer something, or just to get your attention. So let me just, there you go. You can see that the one Becky 4 at the end there has put their thumbs up. And then obviously you can click on that and then ask what it is that they wanted to say or how they wanted to interact. And if you're not having that PowerPoint presentation, this is what it will look like with those little screens that I was saying when we are sharing our PowerPoint. But again, you can change this view here. So you can change it like this. You can change it to speaker view, or you can make sure then you can see all your participants evenly within the screen. So if you have more participants, this will change and you can have up to, like, I think you can see 20 or so cameras all on screen at the same time. So if you're having activities that you're not using the PowerPoint for, you can use it this way, again, to help with that interaction. That is pretty much Zoom. And I hope you enjoy using it. And obviously, if you do have any problems, please do shout in the Facebook groups and we'll try and help out as much as we can.